What is going on, Pokemon fans? Welcome back to Pokemon TCG Center. In today's video, we'll be looking at kind of interesting deck for the standard format. Some sort of a budget build. It is a Dialga featuring Single Strike Houndoom. So what's so special about Single Strike Dialga? Well, it's definitely that Chrono Wind attack that can hit for 80. And defending Pokemon, if the defending Pokemon is a Pokemon Wii, it cannot attack during your opponent's next turn. I know that 80 damage is not something special, but right now with the latest release of the Brilliant Star set and with the card like a Choice Belt, that damage can actually be increased for like 30 more damage. And with, let's say, only 2 extra Single Strike Energy cards attached to Dialga, that damage can be increased up to 150 damage. Speaking about 150 damage, that's a lot of damage to 2-hit knockout almost many of popular Wii cards, and not enough for the Wii Max, but for example enough for the Wii Stars. With 3 energies and Choice Belt, well, then we can go for like 170 damage, and doing that twice in a row should be more than enough for the 2-hit knockout. Cards like Karen Conviction make this deck also interesting, because during this turn your single strike Pokemon attacks do 20 more damage to opponent's active Pokemon for each prize card your opponent has taken. So theoretically speaking, in that way we can hit, for example, with only 2 energy cards on our Pico for like 120 plus 2 more energy for 40, that's 160, 260, 290, for example, with 2 single strike energies, Choice Belt, that damage can be 290, maybe even 310 if we manually attach 1 more single strike energy from our hands. So there's a lot of different options and ways how to play the deck and hit for a lot of damage. Additionally, deck also plays Stormjourner that can simply one-hit knockout Arceus Wii and Arceus Wii Max, and there obviously or Pico for the Mew Wii Max matchup, and 4 of each Houndoom and Houndour lineup for that single strike roar energy acceleration. I kind of like it. I definitely need to say that deck has a lot of potential, and it can hit for tons of damage without too many problems. I mean, all you really have to do set up 2 Houndooms and every single turn be in a position to get that energy card so you can Chrono Wind, and that's pretty much all you have to do. Speaking about setting, we have more than enough cards in my opinion. There are 4 copies of Quick Ball, 4 copies of Ultra Ball, and 3 copies of Evolution Instance with 3 copies of Capture Energy cards. So more than enough in my opinion. I don't think it's necessary to have more cards for the Pokemon setup. That's like 4 Quick Ball and 4 Ultra Ball plus 3 Capture Energy for the early stage of the game. That's like 11 different ways to search the deck and set up Pokemon on the bench. 2 copies of Fan of Waves are also interesting add-on to the deck, because there is a lot of Arceus matchups these days, and they are heavily relying on that double Chorus energy. And once we manage to pull the Fan of Waves, we can simply disrupt that. And if they don't play version with the Melanie, they won't be able to attack us, and we will buy ourselves a turn. And will we manage to buy ourselves a turn, we can then simply form Stormjourner and one-hit them out. Also, Pet to the Peak makes deck reliable against, let's say, Duraludon Wii Max, because we can simply shut down Duraludon Wii Max ability. But Pet to the Peak is also good against many other decks, especially good against also Mew Wii Max and, for example, those Arceus Wii Stars as well. Deck also plays 4 copies of Urns of Vitality, so we can recycle those single strike energies back to our deck. and then it plays 1 copy of Air Balloon and 2 copies of Choice Belt for extra damage. Speaking about trainer cards, we are switching to the supporter lineup. Supporter lineup is pretty much 4 Research, 4 Marnie, and then 2 Current's Conviction and 2 copies of Boss's Orders. We don't need too many Boss's Orders. Boss's Order is just here and there if our opponent is running on the bench, so we can simply boss something from the bench. But Current Conviction make this deck really strong, super strong, especially in the late game when our opponent managed to draw, for example, 4 or 5 prize cards. 4 Marnies because we really want to have that card that can disrupt our opponent's hand, where we can simply prevent them from getting those switch cards in play. So we can simply lock the active V-Max or V-Star from being able to retreat, and then simply chrono win them. Speaking about energy cards, we have 10 of them, 4 single strike energies, 3 capture energy, and 3 twin energy cards. Potential add-ons to this deck, definitely 1 copy of Ordinary Rod, for example, because in some situations, in some matchups, being able to have maybe Ordinary Rod can help us a lot, because then we can simply return back Morpeko or Sojourner, for example, in Mew VMAX deck versus Mew VMAX. Pretty much single Morpeko VMAX can win the game. I mean, with Morpeko playing 2 energies with the effect of Houndoom, we can have 4 damage counters on Morpeko, which then will be translated to 120 damage. And if we have 2 single strike energies, that's 160 damage, and that's times 2, 320. So Mew VMAX is simply 1 hit, knock it out. Same rule applies for the Sojourner. Land pulls 30 plus 30. If there's a stadium card in play, that's a 60. Having 2 single strike energies can increase the damage up to 100, and being able to get also that Choice Belt will help us to hit for 130. But for example, if there is Arceus V on the other side, that's more than enough for the knockout. If it's Arceus V Star, then we need 1 extra energy card. But for example, with 1 extra energy card, we can then slap them for like 60, 120, 150, 300. So yeah, it can easily be 1 hit knockout against that Arceus V Star, for example. And we can easily power up energies with the Houndooms. That's not a big deal for us. Manaphy, obviously, with the Wave Veil, protects us from the potential threats like Rapid Strike Urshifus. So also important to have Manaphy. And there's the reason why, for example, 1 copy of the Ordinary Rod can potentially be a good add-on to the deck. Maybe even removing Fan of Waves, probably adding maybe another Path to the Peak, maybe adding Escape Probe. Maybe actually Escape Probe wouldn't make too much sense because we really want to Chrono Wind. But maybe, for example, just moving 1 Fan of Waves, maybe adding extra Path to the Peak for better matchup versus Duraludon. Maybe even going with the 4 Path to the Peaks wouldn't be worst idea in the world, but somehow I feel that Fan of Waves can actually help us in the early stage of the game, and maybe even in the mid game, and so on and so on. And this is pretty much the Dialga Houndoom deck list. I hope you guys enjoy watching it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos, hit the thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Let me know in the comments below also what you think about this deck list. Thank you for your time. We'll see you next time. So till then, have a nice day and goodbye.